group projects.
I never had to do
Ooh.
them. I never dealt with group projects.
The devil.
This is what I'm saying.
The devil.
I'm telling you, I am a baby little princess.
Group projects are the
Welcome back, or welcome to Confessions of a Homeschool Graduate. Today, we are going to be talking about big fish, little pond mentality. Now, I know you might be asking, Holly, what do you mean, big fish, little pond? What is this that you were discussing? Well, fun fact, fun little life update. I interviewed for a job drawing caricatures recently. We were just discussing this. But I interviewed for a job drawing caricatures. And, you know, I grew up homeschooled. I'm 23. I'm still a baby. So if I didn't say that before, now you know. I'm 23.
I'm not.
Yeah. We're like half a decade apart, right?
Yeah, about 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. You're the same age as like my third sister.
Yeah. About 4 or 5 years. Depends on when your birthday is.
Wild. I'm not going to tell them when my birthday is.
Yeah, and I was like, that's none of your business.
Yeah, you don't get to know.
Anyways.
So, speaking of fun, cute little life updates, yeah, so that job did not exactly work out. Found out caricatures aren't really my thing, but I still really love the content here, so I'm going to share it with you guys anyway. So at the time of uploading this, things look a little different from when we recorded it, but honestly, that's fine. So, yeah, and hopefully I won't have to get a second job. If you continue to like, share, and subscribe, this will become enough to pay my bills, which I would really appreciate because I kind of love making this content for you. So yeah, please do that and enjoy the discussion in this video. Anyway, have fun. So I started this job and the first 2 days of training were absolutely brutal. And it just kind of caused me to have a little bit of an existential crisis, which got me to thinking, as a homeschoolers, I think it's really easy to kind of get stuck in your little circle and just kind of breeze by.
That's fair.
Like, just be like, I'm amazingly talented at everything. Everybody look at me. And, like, then you go off, and usually this happens in college, but I didn't actually go to school. I went to school for 1 semester, and it was way too expensive.
That's
so
fair.
I didn't get that experience to where I really got to a point where I was grinding and working really hard and realizing that, like, I'm not all that, you know? I mean, I am, but I'm not.
Yeah, no, that is interesting because I definitely went to college that was far too expensive for all 4 years.
Yeah.
And I like, as much as I liked college,
Yeah.
I liked more of the experience and the people, less than anything else.
Yeah.
It was like everything else involved was like, this could all go right in the dumpster. This sucks. But I like the people are great, and I do like to learn. Stop telling me to have all of my homework done on the same date as everybody else.
Yikes.
I would like that to stop now.
Yeah.
But like generally, like coming out of high school, because that's something I definitely did, into college was a little bit, like, it wasn't shocking because I knew.
Right.
Like, I knew what was going to happen. But, like, the extent of it was very interesting. Because I was both more and less prepared than I thought I was. So, I got into college with a pretty much full tuition scholarship for theater.
Wow.
And so, I had taken all of the entrance tests and things because they were like, we just want to make sure. I was like, that's fair. I'll take that.
Right, because you're homeschooled.
Yeah.
So.
You know, you're fine and everything, but your academic writing's a little weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll take that. No one's ever really corrected me. Which one of my teachers in high school tried to do at the very end. That she was like, you guys gotta like do it in format. I was like, that means nothing to me, man. What are you talking about?
Oh gosh, I went through the same thing.
I was like, that doesn't mean anything to me. So they did put me into like 101 writing, which is like a class anybody who like didn't quite get above a certain part on their writing test had to do. And I was like, I'll take that.
I had that for math.
Yeah.
I had to do like a fundamentals of math course in college.
I got skirted by just this much in math.
Wow.
They were like, okay, you can take regular math. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't, though. I don't know math like that. But they were like, your writing's not bad. It's just your academic format is not
up to par.
correct. So I had to take an entire class for that.
Yeah.
which I got a very good grades in because I could write.
Right.
But also that teacher who I had on and off throughout college graded me harder than everybody else because she taught me to write.
Wow.
This is something, Dr. Doherty, if you're seeing this, you knew we cheated. Anyways, I wrote a paper for a friend once. She just didn't have time. She was in the middle of like really hard Spanish test.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, we were in the same class, so I just wrote it for her. And she got an A and I got a B.
What the?
And I was like, that's not fair. I like the outrage on my face. I was like, what? And the teacher looked at me hard, and I was like, I can't even complain. And I was like, it's the same writing, and you know it. You just grade me harder than you grade other people.
There is a bias. I found it.
I was like, what do you mean I got a B? I wrote both papers.
Oh my gosh.
I was so sad.
That's wild. So were you still like top of your class in college?
I worked very hard never to get below B in 90% of things.
Okay.
It was a shock to have to work at it.
Yeah. See that.
Because at least in high school, if I got something that my mother didn't deem up to snuff, she would just make me do it again.
Yeah.
I'm used to just doing it until someone says that's good enough. But you only have like the one chance in college.
Yes.
And you're just sort of like, oh, you gave me a low B and I don't want a low B.
Exactly.
And they were like, oh, well, I don't know what to tell you about that, my guy.
This is the grade.
Here are the notes. Do better next time, my man. And I was like, oh, gross.
Yeah.
And that was odd. It was very strange to not just be able to do it as many times as it took to be perfect.
I did have one failing grade in college. But even that one I felt like didn't really count because literally like everyone in the class failed.
Oh, and yeah. There are classes.
The entire...
Yeah.
And then the teacher was like, the next class he came back and he said, well, if everyone failed typically in a class, that's a teacher problem, not a student problem. And I was like, good for you for owning up to it.
I was like, that's big of him because some of them,
huge.
Some professors straight up like, well, you all suck. And you're like, yeah. If I didn't know and she didn't know and none of us knew, then when did you tell us, my guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently you didn't tell us loud enough or enough times because none of us knew. But like, no, there are a couple of classes that I straight up was like, I'm gonna clep that. I'm not, like, I needed to take a psych class and I work-studied the education department one year and I like had to proctor one of their tests. They're just people crying in the corner. And I was like, I'm not taking this class. Are you out of your mind? I know how to learn by myself. I'm going to take that over the summer. Absolutely not. Sorry, Dr. Martin, I'm not taking your class. You're insane. People are literally in tears. Can't be me, won't be me. So there are a couple of those that I just straight up dodged.
That's good.
I was just like, nah. I remember the first time I had toured the campus. I was like talking to somebody. I don't know why I was talking to this person in the arts building. We were touring the arts building, and I think I was with somebody who was a friend of a friend.
Gotcha.
Who went to that school. And she was like, oh, this is this person. And I was like, hi. And she was like, oh, are you a prospective student? And I was like, yeah. And we were talking, and I was like, what's your major? She's like, I'm a Spanish and French major. And I was like, that's so nice. And she was like, she looked me dead in the eyes and said, don't ever take Spanish with Dr. Sappy. Ever. Or French. Do not take his classes.
I'm scared.
If you can avoid Spanish or French altogether, do it. And I was like, whoa, this is your major. And she's like, I know it. That's why I know to tell you. Don't do it. And I said, okay. And I took Japanese. I was like, no thanks. I've been told by someone who would know. And they told me in a very intense way not to take Dr. Sappy's Spanish class. And I didn't. And all of my friends did. And they all cried.
Oh my gosh.
There's an African man who taught Spanish and French. He was not very nice.
Why do I keep hearing the phone hang up sound?
Yeah,
Are you calling people?
Maybe.
Is it my phone?
Am I butt dialing? No, my phone is on the ground.
What is happening? Is it me? No, it's not me, but you're halfway being cut off in this shot.
No! See me. I exist. It's my phone. It's doing a thing.
What is it doing?
It's garage open noises. Yeah, no, so there was a lot of, like, instances in colleges that I just straight up dodged because I knew better. But, like, I came in knowing that the lifestyle difference was going to hurt. Not thinking that the academic difference was going to hurt.
I was blindsided by everything. Which is weird because I have 4 older siblings. You think I would have, like, learned that? And I'm pretty good at watching what they do and not being stupid. Thanks, guys. But, like, for some reason, it just didn't click.
That things would be so different?
Yeah, dorm life killed me. Like, I think I died. Actually, I'm a ghost now.
That's fair. I adapted to dorm life way better than I truly thought the social and, like, lifestyle aspects were going to be the thing that killed me. And those were fine.
Did you go to a Christian school?
No. Well, I went to that school because it, like, technically it was a Christian school.
Things about to get
but
spicy.
It's also a women's college, so, like, 90% lesbians. So... and I was like, oh, you know, I didn't think that through. This is fine. I'm happy here. But also I was like, what did I think was going to happen?
See, I went to a private Christian college, and there were a couple things that were just real sketchy.
Yeah.
Like, real sketchy.
I didn't like the parts that were super Christian. I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
I was like, why would you do anything like this?
Yeah. And, like, even as someone who, like, I am a Christian. Like, I do believe in God and all that stuff.
Raised in a very, like, not even super religious, but at least very spiritual household.
But it was a really, really weird vibe. And, like, if you were on the hall... You were expected to be involved in everything. And they also had
it was one of
checks,
those. Oh, it was one of those.
And they had curfews.
No, we weren't that, thankfully.
Even my God-fearing Christian mother was like, this is extreme.
Yeah, no, I dodged that, thankfully.
Yeah, I did not.
I wouldn't have survived that.
So, I didn't. I only lasted 1 semester.
Yeah, no.
I only lasted 1 semester.
Somebody would have told me what to do one too many times, and I would have gotten into a fight.
Yeah. But see, I never had that. I didn't get far enough into college because it was literally just 1 semester.
Yeah.
I didn't get far enough to get that experience of realizing that you were not always the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Thankfully, I never thought that I was going to be the smartest or the best at anything.
Not me.
I knew that I was like, there are going to be things that I'm just going to be entirely flabbergasted by.
Was that English? I mean, like, no. Me, I'm like, nah, I got this every time. All the time. 24/7. I want to be perfect at it on try 1.
Stop! Isn't it valuable?
What's more important, its value or my sanity? I should have mastered the damn thing by now.
How long have you been playing?
3 days.
Yeah, no, it was the having to try at academics that got me.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm like, I'll figure it out. And I've always been very laissez-faire. I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. And then a couple classes is like, oh, okay, I don't know how to study. Somebody help. Actually, I was friends with a couple nursing majors. They got me through biology.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I believe it.
Thankfully, I never got lower than a C in anything. I think.
Oh, I straight up failed stuff.
No, I'm too much of a
I think it was only that one time though that
Yeah.
the whole class failed something that I ever actually got a failing grade.
I think my worst grade at the end of the year was a C in math.
Yeah, I felt that.
And for some reason, 2 of my friends were like, Jordan, you have to help us. And I was like, look at me, dead in the eyes. Why do you think I can help you with math?
Like, do you see what's happening here?
And they were like, we only trust you to help us. I was like, they have tutors.
There are math tutors.
Why would you want me to do this for you? And they're like, no, Jordan, we can't do it without you. Please help. So I tutored them through a math class that I was barely passing. They got a D, which is passing enough for, like, a class that's not your major.
Right.
And so they're like, we couldn't have done without you. And I was like, this is... Why did you do it like this?
Honestly.
This is very confusing.
That is very wild.
I mean, I think I got a better grade in math because I had to understand it enough to explain it to them. So I think that made me get above a D in that.
That's fair.
But I was like, guys, we are pulling each other down. I was already drowning and y'all grabbed onto my ankles.
Just a little bit, yeah.
This was a terrible idea.
That does not sound ideal, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah. Ugh, group projects.
I never had to do
Ooh.
them. I never dealt with group projects.
The devil.
This is what I'm saying.
The devil.
I'm telling you, I am a baby little princess.
Group projects are the devil.
You can ask my mom.
Ooh, freshman year, we had a class called WISE, which was an introductory class that everybody had to take.
We had one called Gateway, where it's like, welcome to college.
It's so annoying. It was like the earliest class in the day, and I was like, do you think I did schedule anything before 9 a.m. for a reason?
Yeah.
I'm homeschooled. I don't wake up.
Yeah.
Please stop.
Yeah.
Making me be a place at 9 a.m. I don't want to be awake before 8:30. So I now have to roll out of bed and show up here looking any which way. Could you not? But they had lots of group projects. And I was like, truly, the two ratchetest people I've ever met pulled me through that class.
Oh my god.
It was hilarious. There was like there were 6 of us in a group.
Yeah.
It was me, I think her name was Rashida, a girl we called Black Ashley. She knew we called her that.
I love that.
She was a white woman.
That's hilarious.
And then there were 3 other girls who were in that class, and they didn't do anything in those projects. Nothing. Lily Me was never given a presentation before, and the 2 ratchetest girls in our year dragging us through that class.
Oh my gosh.
We won the end of the year's prize too.
How?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was just me, Rashida, and Black Ashley teaching me how to use Prezi. I was like, what's happening? And they're like, we got you. And I was like, why do I have to rely? You guys are great, but why do I have to rely on the 2 ratchetest people I've ever met?
Okay, I don't know what that word means.
Just like extreme partiers. They
Oh my gosh!
They were extreme partiers. Kind of like belligerent in social situations. They just didn't care.
And they're the ones who pulled you through that.
Oh, I was like,
that's amazing.
I was like, first of all, thank you so much. Love you.
Right.
This is why you don't judge people.
There you go.
Because I don't know what's going on. Those 3 don't care, apparently. And you 2 are the only ones getting me through this class.
So, I want to talk about what happened after college. Because you've got, like, a designer job now, right?
I do.
Like, you do fancy things.
I freelance costume design.
Yeah. And I grew up in a lot of theater. So, for me, you know, I wasn't necessarily always top of my class academically. Like, it wasn't as much of an academic struggle. It was the extracurricular. But still being in that homeschool environment, I think kind of fed into that. Because my mom is the president of a small theater company. And we do a lot of community theater. And so kind of growing up with that and just being naturally good at singing, dancing, everything under the sun, artistic wise, like, it's just really easy to kind of get full of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's really easy to think that you're like the best of the best all the time. Especially because when you're in such a tight circle, you are. Like, if you're a naturally gifted person, it's really easy to kind of be on top. Because it's a small pond.
1,000%. It was very easy for me to come out of college and be like, well, I know what's happening.
Okay, yeah. See, that's what I want to talk about.
And I did not know what was going on. I went directly from college into a 3-month internship in Ithaca, New York.
Oh, dang.
And I was not okay. I was like the only one with the car, and I was doing a costume design internship. So I was working underneath 2 fellows, like helping them finish their designs. And at the end of the summer, I had my one big show by myself. So I was just running errands. I was all over the place.
That sounds scary.
Look, if I wanted to be a professional shopper, I really could be.
Wow.
Like, I've done it for myself, and I've done it for other people.
That's insane.
They're like, this is what I'm going for. Be free. Here's money. Don't it up.
That sounds scary.
It was. I graduated high school a year early. So I graduated college younger than most people. So I turned 21 during that summer.
Wow.
So I was just sort of like, okay.
Yeah, that's a
what
lot.
What are we doing? I was up, man. I would be in one of their dorms at the end of the day, just like staring into the middle distance. And they're like, well, how much have you slept? And I was like, how much have you slept? And they was like, that's my problem. What? You need to sleep more. We're taking care of you right now.
That's insane.
Finish this painting and go to bed.
Oh my god.
Because sometimes they're like, because the turnover was so fast, summer stock is. So like we finished a show and they were just right on to another one, and I was doing both of their shows.
Oh my
god. So sometimes they're like, I need help. And I was like, okay. I'm really good at doing renderings. Just give me your designs and I will ink and paint them before the presentation tomorrow.
Oh.
So we just split up the work and just...
So, and then, like, rendering for, like, fashion shows?
For theater.
For theater shows.
For theater design.
Oh, wow.
So they're like... So generally it's just like you have an entire sketch of a costume. For, like, each character and, like, anyone that they might change into.
Okay. Yep.
And so you're just sort of like, okay, what are we doing? What is the vibe here? Okay, I have paint.
Wow.
So, like there was a lot of that, which is, like, I wasn't bad at it, but I was not prepared to be that fast-paced, that low budget.
Yeah.
And I was, like, to be doing all of it at once. I'm like, and I'm not good with caffeine, generally. Like, I probably won't finish all of this.
That's fair.
And I was like, I drink, like, the largest white chocolate mocha 5 days in a row because I would leave work and
just imagining you on that is scaring me a little bit.
I would go to the library and do more work after work, and I'd just be downing a white chocolate mocha. And then one day I didn't have to be on location until later, so I picked up a coffee and I picked up the clothes from the shop and ran it to the rehearsal space.
Yeah.
And I walked in with 5 very large bags of clothes and a cup of coffee. And everyone looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" And I don't know what my face was doing. I was like, "I don't feel good." And they were like, "I can tell." And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "How much of that have you had?" I was like, "I don't really drink coffee." I was like, "I've not seen you without coffee in days." And I was like, "Yeah, that's true." And they said, "Give me that. Put that down immediately.
Yeah.
Stop drinking that right now."
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of instances where I'm just, like, thrown into real situations, and I was like, this isn't natural or good for anybody. And they're like, it's not! This is an industry that is generally running ourselves ragged. And I was like, oh.
See, that's what I feel like I'm on the verge of walking into.
Yeah.
Because, like, I want to go into film. That's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I'm trying to get out there and find something artistic.
Like, as you should.
You know?
I will say, you will be jumping into the deep end, and that's just how that goes.
Yeah.
That just is how that goes.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh, why is everything bad? And everyone's like, everything's always bad. As I speed walk past you, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
Okay. And then, like, I still struggle. So, like, I feel like my school didn't prep us for, like, getting jobs very well.
I don't know of many colleges that do.
Yeah. So
That's a big problem.
I don't like to network. I seem extremely extroverted. I'm not.
Yeah, networking's exhausting, even for someone who is extroverted.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to keep up with, like, the cycle. So if I'm not, like, talking to people, I don't get jobs, and I don't like to talk to people.
Yeah.
And then, like, just, like, the process of, like, being with and, like, in the community constantly is just a lot. And no one really prepares you for that.
Right.
And you're sort of like, and even in Gwinnett, I'm still kind of a big fish in a little pond because I started here.
Yeah.
And, like, I've been doing costume design here since I was 18.
Well, but you also had that experience in New York.
Yeah.
You know, so you knew that, and you did something. And, I mean, I've even talked to your mom a little bit about this. Like, you guys purposefully made sure that you were able to get that kind of experience.
Yeah. Like, I've had bigger, more professional experiences, which makes me come here and seem very impressive. But when I'm back, when I get those bigger jobs again, every time I'm like, I only kind of know what I'm doing. Which, fake it till you make it is how it always works. But, like, I always end up over there and everything's just a little bit different. And they're like, I know what's happening.
Well, an imposter syndrome is, like, a real thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a real thing. And I feel like we don't talk about that as much in homeschool communities.
No.
You know, because it's very rare, I think, to see, you know, homeschool graduates, like, actually getting out there.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them, like, there's some circulating on the internet, and it's getting to be a bigger community. But, like, since it's such a smaller pond of people compared to the vast majority of the United States...
Yeah.
Like, it kind of makes it seem like a smaller number.
I feel like our problem is a lot that we are big fish in our pond.
Yep.
And then the second we actually have to step out in a medium-sized fish, it's not like you're bad at anything, but you're like, oh.
The anxiety, the insecurity.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what's going on.
It's icky. It's uncomfortable.
It is quite terrible, generally. And you're sort of like, oh, okay. And, like, I'm still acting. But,
right.
like, it's so hard to get acting jobs that pay enough to make it worth it because I have bills. And it's like, and you're like, I know I have these skills, but like I'm getting passed over for things
Right.
because you're not right for that show.
Right.
When you're so used to getting roles.
Right. Because
they had so less
few.
fewer people that like dole them out to. So they're like, you have these skills, then obviously you're gonna get it. So now it doesn't matter that you have the skills; they have options.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
So it has nothing to do with like your worth or value at all. But it's gonna feel that way.
Yeah.
And bro, that's what I'm fighting right now.
Like it happens a lot. So like for me specifically, sometimes I'll like go for a particularly black show. And
Yeah.
I am not the font of black a lot of people are looking for
real?
black shows. No.
That's wild.
And so like sing a hymn, and I was like, you were different people. When you say hymn, I think Catholic. What are you saying? And they're like, that's not what I was saying at all. And I was like,
They're thinking like gospel, right?
yeah, I'm like, non-denominational, my guy. That means nothing to me. We had Christian rock. I can't. They're like, do you know her music? And I was like, my mom listens to her, but I really don't. And they're like, and you just get these odd looks. I was like, I know.
Yeah.
See all of the beads in my hair? This is the font. I don't know what to tell you. And then you'll go for like other shows, and you're like, here I am with 50 other women who like look a little bit like me, or thinner, or whiter, or taller, or have a better shape. And it was like, and they all have my same skill set.
Wow.
And you're just like, I don't want to be here. Auditioning already sucks. This is not great.
Okay, I know that we're making content for the internet, but this is actually enriching my life so much right now.
That's fair.
I'm really glad we decided to talk about this because I know I really needed this conversation.
No, it's fair. It's like just being out in the world where there is competition is hard.
Yeah.
It's like, and sometimes you're like, what are my priorities? Because what am I actually going for? Because going out and auditioning and like feeling bad about it, it's like not the goal. And so sometimes you're like, it's like, what am I actually going for?
Yeah, that's kind of what you have to ask yourself.
Like sometimes you have to like retool, and it's like, does that feel like failure?
It can.
And it's like,
but it's actually not.
And it's not, because it's like, I don't, like all the shows I go for, I don't want to be in half of them. I'm auditioning for the sake of it.
Because you need money.
Right.
And you love artistic careers. And I mean, I can't speak to STEM careers because we're both very artistic people.
Look, I don't do math, and that's on purpose.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a very unique experience on its own.
I cannot imagine having to compete in a mathematical field.
Me neither.
I was like, that sounds terrible. I'm so sorry.
And I don't know what that looks like for homeschoolers, to be honest. I really
Not
don't.
even a little bit.
Because, like, I grew up in a completely artistic family. Every single one of us is very artistic.
Jackson struggled a little bit, but he's so smart.
Yeah.
I was like, I could see he was struggling a little bit because, like, it just like getting jobs is weird.
Getting jobs is weird. Period.
Yeah, getting jobs.
Public or private, home, school, doesn't matter. Getting jobs.
And then
is
like
weird.
the pandemic happened, and so you're like sitting there and you're like, I have to forgive myself 3 years of progress.
Yeah.
And so you just like sit there and you're like, what am I doing?
But I feel like kids who go to public school, for the vast majority of them, like public and private school, they don't as often or only experience that feeling when they're like an adult.
Yeah.
You know, you have to wrestle with that like day one.
Yeah, like they have experience with rejection, which is
we don't.
Yeah. So like
We just
imagine like being in the real world and someone says to you, well, you're not as good as this person. It's like, no one ever phrased it like that. Please, why would you do this?
Yeah, that's how it goes usually.
Why would you say it like that? And you're like, oh, I'm going to sit in a corner, I guess.
And like maybe cry myself to sleep.
Yeah, I was like, that's gonna impact my psyche in a way that I didn't expect it to for the next 6 months. I don't have enough money for therapy. You should really be nicer to me.
And it's like, that's just not how it is.
No.
And also, that's not even necessarily mean.
No.
They're not even necessarily being mean.
No.
It's just that you built up this idea in your head that you're always going to be at the top.
Yeah, even if I'm not gonna get a main role, I'll always get in.
Right.
And you're like, wow, not even maybe my singing voice isn't as good as I thought it was.
Right.
And you're just sort of like, interesting.
Yes.
Why? Like, what is the you have to sit there and question the decision making process.
Right.
And you're sort of like, is this a me problem or is this? You really have to come to terms with like people don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm used to people giving a shit about me constantly.
I'm gonna have to censor you so hard
yeah,
for this video.
You are. But like there's really a thing where you're like used to people caring about you constantly.
Yes.
And even in college, I was like, oh, it's not that I'm any worse than I was before. I'm actually doing quite well. It's just that no one cares.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's weird.
It's super weird.
Like, I don't like that at all. I'm used to everyone caring that I'm good at things.
Exactly.
And people just don't. Like, even when you're the most qualified to do something, they're like, well, nobody wants to do it your way, so go sit down somewhere.
I feel like this is a callback to what we talked about last time, where it's like, everyone look at me.
A little bit. I was like, look, I actually don't like to talk to people, but I do want your attention. You should be looking
like, just
at me.
validate me.
Right? And I was like, you
I
should
just
be
need to
looking
be
at
validated.
me. And so it's weird.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, we had this thing at my college called Stunt, which is a show that the class, like, the years put on at the end of as, like, a charity thing.
Gotcha.
It, like, builds scholarship money. And it's something that has happened every year since, like, the 1800s.
Dang.
And so, like, literally, it's like your class gets together and writes and produces a show. It's a musical.
Wow.
And, like, the first year, I got on the stunt committee, which is part of the writing and directing committee.
Fancy.
Because I was like, I have put on a one-person show for a senior capstone. I'm the only one of us who is even slightly qualified to do this. And they were like, okay, that's fine. And then they proceeded to take none of my advice. They were like, here, do these 3 things, and then we kind of don't want to hear from you otherwise. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. And I was like, it's not that I was not the only person qualified. It's that everybody's going to do things their way.
That's true.
And you do not matter.
I think it's time for the eclipse.
Time? Okay.
Bye for now. There's an eclipse happening.
That's
Are there? Can I borrow glasses in a second? Because I don't have mine.
Yeah.
Oh, this is wacky.
Yeah, it's darker outside and half the sun is gone.
I didn't actually expect
It's a crescent sun.
for it to be that much, because the last time this happened, I was in the line of totality.
Yeah, I think
Oh
it's...
yeah, so we went to Blue Ridge to go get into the line of totality.
Oh, you're gonna be out in this video now, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, no. In 20
Why did I just look at it? I don't have
Stop
glasses.
that. You can look at it through the camera.
Thank you.
We're gonna get a...
Yeah, a crescent sun.
Yeah, we're gonna get a crescent sun. So it's gonna disappear a little more than this.
I can't even get these glasses on. What is wrong with me?
I'm holding them.
I can't get them on.
Yeah, no, just hold them in front of your face. It doesn't work.
Oh, look at that. Hey, buddy.
It looks like the moon.
There's a crescent
I
sun.
kind of want to look, but I know I should.
Don't.
Here, take it.
I was like, don't look at the sun, please.
There you go, guys. Here's a little crescent sun. Do you see him? There he is.
That is so weird.
There.
I saw it when it was a total eclipse. Then I could take off my glasses, like, once it got to total.
It's like refracting and
But I'm not gonna be
reflecting
able to do that this
in
time.
my camera lens, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Imagine being a firebender right now.
Oh no, my power. You know, it's so weird. I don't think I've ever been in the line of totality completely. I think last time I was just like stood outside of my house and went, well, most of the sun's gone, and that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, this is why people panic. I was like, the
Stand back
world
up.
is ending.
Wait,
Look at the
wait.
one in the
They
middle.
give a rationalization.
Hold on.
Look at the one in the middle.
Explain to me what's happening.
We do this every time.
So the shadow that's being cast is the crescent that you're.
Those are circles.
And then
Those
that's
are crescents.
That's the circle.
Wild.
But it casts a crescent shadow.
This is wild.
I feel like the sun actually hasn't stopped being this crescent.
Yeah.
Like, it's not moving
That's
closer, but it's not moving
crazy.
farther either. It's
No,
just kind of
it's-
chilling.
It's sliding across.
Your face is just kind of chilling.
What?
I don't know.
Would you like to look, Mommy?
Hello.
That was about the
She's not about the eclipse. This is doing things to my skirt. This is not a pleasant color. Everything's blue. Although if I color balance this video, see, like on camera, it looks great because my phone's naturally warm. This is wild. Cool, we're back.
Yay.
Ugh, we saw an eclipse.
We did. I
That
feel a
was-
little gross now, but it
Yeah,
was cool.
It was weird. The whole world had like a blue tint to
Yeah, I
it.
was like, why does it look like we're in Twilight?
Yeah, it did look a little bit like we're in Twilight. Now I have to release this video like this weekend for it to be relevant.
Oh, well.
I don't even remember quite where we were.
I
The
think-
funny part is, I think we pretty much said everything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it just sort of, I think.
What a sad burp for all of that. I was like,
That was quite a production.
I was so upsetting. This needs more ice in it.
How people just sort of don't care.
Yeah, people don't care.
It's like, it's not that your skills aren't as good as that you think they are. It's that there are options and people don't give.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is odd.
Yeah.
I don't understand this reaction to, like, me actually being good at something and, like, I should actually be in charge, and just, like, people like,
Right.
I don't care.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. So, for my experience that I'm currently having, which I'm not on the other side of this yet. I'm literally at the very beginning. I'm like dipping my toes into the scary part of the world where you have to actually try for stuff. It's not that people don't care. It's that they're challenging me.
Yeah.
That is not. Because, like, my mom would try to challenge me, but I would just look at her and be like, whatever. And I just wouldn't. You know, she could not make me do stuff. Like, and I always felt like I had to go a weird roundabout, like, backwards way to get to the solution because I wanted to be original. So, like, it's that thing of wanting to feel original, and then you go out and it's like, wow, everything's been done before.
That is an interesting
really
feeling.
not as special as you think you
That
are.
is an interesting feeling.
Like,
You're like, oh, I've never had an original experience even. What is happening?
Yeah, exactly. And someone's like, hey, I know you can do this, which is why I'm being hard on you and making you draw lines for 3 hours. You know, something like that. Where it's like, I believe in you completely, I believe in your ability, but I'm not giving you an easy route. That.
I did have a couple of art teachers really challenge me in college.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I came in with an art background.
Yeah.
Like, even though I wasn't like an art major in high school, my parents are both art. My dad is a pretty good artist for someone who does not do art in any professional capacity.
Right.
And my mom spent most of my childhood doing murals.
Right.
Professionally.
Right.
So I came with an art background. It's like, I know how to draw. And they're like, you gotta take 101 like everybody else, kid. And I was like, oh, that's weird.
Right?
I was like, oh, this is strange.
That's it, exactly. When you, like, you've learned so much on your own and you've got to go back to those basics and fill in those gaps.
And then you're like, you are good, but also you're like, oh, I've missed something.
Exactly.
And then the teacher will be like, okay, I can actually focus on you. This is what you need to do. And it's like, oh, I'm not used to having such specific criticism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that. And by the end of that class, I had filled in a lot of gaps. And like people were like asking me for help because they had to like master things I came in already knowing pretty well.
Right.
But like the beginning, I was like, what is happening?
Right, because you've got this like mismatched, like hodgepodge
Yeah.
thrown together pool of art that you figured out on your own.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one thing to figure stuff out on your own being a naturally talented person and everybody's like, but then it's another thing to have a professional look at your work and say, this is good, you're gifted, but it could be better.
And here's how you fix that one thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like I did, and I never took that like hard, but it was just sort of weird.
Oh, I straight up did.
I think I take criticism pretty well.
I do not.
As long as it's phrased constructively.
Someone can phrase it in the most constructive way, and if I get any criticism, it's like, I'm terrible!
I think a lot of my teachers had a very good job of setting up expectations of criticism.
That's fair.
Well, they were sort of like, as any class where we had to like create something and to have someone else critique, they were like, and this is the structure in which we critique these things. You say a good thing, you only give criticism that you can give advice about.
Right.
Like, this is off, and at least be like, I think this is like, something about this is off. What does everybody else think could fix that?
Right.
So it's like, we came at it from like a very good angle.
That's really good.
Like, what are we doing as a group to fix each other's skills?
That's
We're learning
really
from
good.
each other, which I think in other places aren't as good about that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, now I feel terrible and everything is bad.
Yeah.
But also, sometimes you like see somebody who is just so good at something that you're like, I think I might have to lay down and die.
Yeah.
Maybe never do anything again.
Yes.
I had this one friend. Her name was Leanne. She was like a year below me.
Come on, Leanne.
Leanne was great, and she drew hands for fun.
Ah.
She's crazy.
Ah.
She was like, I don't want to do anything hard, so she made a tree out of hands. I was like, oh, you're insane, and we're going to sacrifice you to the art gods. Well, he said that out loud. We like, me and my friend Katie stood behind her, looked over her shoulders like, we're going to sacrifice you to the art gods. And she said, huh? And I was like, don't worry about it. And we just backed away and went back to our canvases.
Who draws hands for fun? on!
Leanne.
Okay, I actually know someone who does that.
And Leanne did. We were just like, so we're adopting you, so you're our child now, but also we're going to sacrifice you to the art god. So maybe keep your eyes open when you sleep. And she was like, I don't like this. And I was like, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You're sort of like you'd be like faced with people who just like had a skill that you couldn't even comprehend.
Yeah.
You were like, I can either be very upset about this or I could just stare at it until it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna pick both. I think I picked to do both.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stare and like a weird glare at you, and I'm also gonna just watch you for like a weird amount of time.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to be okay with it.
Yep.
And that is a really good environment for artists, honestly.
It is a really good environment, and this is why it's really important to like put yourself out there and get those challenges. You know, now that I'm in this phase of life where I'm kind of stepping into these challenges, and you know, just going into adulthood, realizing that I don't know everything, that I still got a lot to learn, and that you'll kind of always have a lot to learn. You know, you're never gonna know everything.
No.
You're just not. And it's really good, especially if you're a student watching this and you're like still in high school. If you have the resources available, just do it.
Oh, 1,000%.
Like, just put yourself out there, because you don't want to wake up at like the mid-20s and be experiencing being challenged for the first time.
Just do it!
Like,
Because it's weird.
it's weird, and
it's
then
an
you feel
odd
icky,
sensation.
and then it's like you have an anxiety attack, and that it's really easy to like have that aggressive emotional affront, and then be like, cool, I don't ever want to touch this again. This must mean that I'm not right for this job. This must mean that it's like, no, like, yes, sometimes getting a bad feeling and being anxious means you shouldn't be in a certain line of work, absolutely, but like in this case, it's that you've never been challenged. Yeah. And you just got to have that experience, you know? And I'm learning that now.
Yeah, it's like the emotional upheaval is natural.
Yeah.
It's just the time that we're not used to having emotions that big anymore because we've experienced so many things. You're just like, my emotions generally aren't that huge and overwhelming. Oh, God.
Exactly.
Okay, what's happening? I guess I'll cry about this for a little bit. Sure. I'll take a weird shower where I'm just like, these aren't tears, it's water.
Yeah, exactly. And then feel weird for like 4 days.
Yep, and then I'll get over it and go, well, I guess I have to either give this up or figure it out.
Yep.
Those are my options.
Just have yourself a little existential crisis.
And that's fine.
And eat some junk food.
Everyone
and
does.
just like realize it's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not alone. You're not the only one who's felt this way. And like, it's going to be okay.
It truly is.
So, yeah.
Like, truly, this is not the end of the world and you're gonna be fine. It just feels really weird.
If you can find ways to put yourself out there now, do it.
Yeah.
Get used to that early. Like, learn how to adjust and do those things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do think that's all we have the time for today.
Probably. I hope that wasn't just mostly me rambling.
No, I think it was very good. I really enjoyed the conversation. Granted, I really needed to hear all of this right now because I am going through this actively in my life. So if you like this video, please feel free to like it, share, subscribe if we feel like you've earned it, or we've earned it. Words are hard. Wow.
Yeah, they are.
Subscribe if you feel like we have earned it. There we go.
Just animate a little.
I'll take care of it. So let us know in the comments what you think. If you've ever had an experience like this, please feel free to share it. You know, we would love to be able to support you in your endeavor, especially if you're trying to put yourself out there and understand that there are resources available and people that you can look to. Like, don't wait. Just put yourself out there. Just do it.
Which is always the thing. And wasn't that the hardest part?
It is the hardest part. But once you do it, I promise it's going to be worth it.
I was like, it's generally better this way, I promise.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye!